Happy Sunday. Good morning, everybody. Would just like to say, to start off this video, if you are ever having trouble falling asleep at any point, borrow from the library or buy a book that goes over the origin and history of math. I have to read it for one of my classes this semester, and it's something like I have to read about 60 pages a week and write a review about it, and just reading it has been, oh my gosh, it goes over like where math comes from: India, from Europe, from China. It's like all of the history of math, the earliest thing they talk about, like 400 BC and stuff like that. It's rough. It's a lot different than actually learning math or teaching math. So anyway, just a little tip there: if you're ever having trouble falling asleep, it will help. So we have the next step in Moses' journey, finishing off chapter 2 in Exodus. This is Moses flees to Midian. One day, after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. So now that's totally different from the movie. In the movie, it was an accident. Moses was trying to stop the guy from beating the Hebrew, but he didn't intend to kill him, and it just happened right away that he then just fled. And I mean, they go over this whole backstory about how he grows up with Pharaoh's son and becomes like a son to Pharaoh himself, and what's his name, Ramesses, I think, is his son's name in the movie. And they Ramesses almost tries to convince Moses to stay instead of like fleeing, because he's scared that he's going to get in trouble for killing somebody. It never says anything in the movie about Pharaoh trying to kill Moses. So that's probably like the first 20 minutes of the movie is not even in the Bible, which is, the Hollywood effect, I like to call it. All right, let's see. Picking up verse 16, I believe. Yeah, sat down by a well. All right. Now a priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. Some shepherds came along and drove them away, but Moses got up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. When the girls returned to Reuel, their father, he asked them, "Why have you returned so early today?" They answered, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "And where is he?" Reuel asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him? Invite him to have something to eat." Moses agreed to stay with a man who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites and was concerned about them. So it almost sounds like they're intending to say that God was just ignoring the whole situation, but obviously that's not true. I think that it's just when it says that he heard their groaning and remembered his covenant with Abraham, I don't know exactly how to put it, but it's not that he was ignoring. It was just all part of the plan, I guess you could say. He was concerned about them. I'm not gonna continue trying to explain it because I will butcher it, but if you have a better way of explaining why those verses say that, please let me know, because I would love to have a better way of putting that to words. Anyway, back to something I actually know how to talk about. Again, to the movie, there's the whole part at the beginning where Zipporah ends up being enslaved in Egypt somehow, and is actually displayed in front of Moses and Ramesses, because Moses becomes this, great person. I forget what they call him, but he's like, pretty powerful in Egypt. And then you see her escape, and Moses actually helps her escape. And then it isn't until he gets to the well after the whole murdering the Egyptian thing, that he sees her again. And then that part's accurate. Like there are some shepherds that were there, and then Moses came to their aid. And then he does marry Zipporah. There's a really good the music from Prince of Egypt is very good. I will say that I like a lot of the songs in there. But yeah, then there's a whole like 15-minute musical that pretty much goes through verse 18 through 22. That Moses marries Zipporah. They have a kid. And it doesn't ever specifically state. It just lets you assume that the king of Egypt has died in those years that Moses was outside of Egypt. So they add a lot into it from the actual source to make the Hollywood movie a lot better. I'm actually going to do some more research into these last 3 verses about why, why it says he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Not that he forgot, but I think it's just a different way of like stating that he is going to continue doing it for the line their line of sons, I guess. Yeah, and of course God being concerned about them is just normal because they were being put into all these harsh conditions by Pharaoh. So yeah, sorry I got a little word twisted there. Like I said, my mind has been a little fried reading about the history of math. There are a bunch of different names that have been very, very confusing to read. And then you talk about the actual math that's behind it. It's like a history and math lesson all in one. Anyway, this is Sunday, right? Yeah, because today's Saturday that I'm recording. So it's for Sunday. So have a good Sunday. We're starting the week back up tomorrow. Let me know what you think about the changes. I was able to figure out. Thank you, Matt. Over, if you guys don't know if his channel is Backwoods Mindset, but he's the one who gave me the tip on how to do the thumbnails, and hopefully I'll be able to continue doing that. I think I found a way to be able to do it. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hopefully your football team won today. I don't know. I don't know really who I'm rooting for anymore. I think I was saying the Texans and the Lions. I guess those are the teams that I would be rooting for from each side. But I think as of right now, the Texans are down by 7 to the Ravens. But anyway, all right. Have a good rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow.